Sometimes I enjoyed sending him an annoying, contentious email just to get him going. I knew how far I could push an issue, but for the most part, he would be diplomatic and would tell me whoever wrote this email certainly didn't know their subject matter. What I remember most about my dad, he was energetic, charming, debonair, and funny. His work clothes looked better than some people's dress wear. His work clothes were well pressed with creases in the shirt sleeves and creases in the center of the pant leg. Just go work in the backyard. No jeans here. He shaped my life and provided guidance to set me straight so I would become a good person from a very young age. We all attended Sunday school and he shared stories to demonstrate a point. There are so many roads to take in life, and providing the fundamentals of honesty, integrity, and lessons in life is what he did best. My father was hardworking, strong, loving, and gentle. He loved his family and was deeply devoted to my mother and us kids. Dad loved his music, and I remember singing romantic songs around the house and to my mom. He was a patron of the performing arts, attending music concerts with church groups and other venues supporting local artists. He liked a wide variety of genres. I cherished my childhood and my time with my dad. In grade 2, I remember waking up in the back of a police car to find my dad. They were taking me to the hospital. I do not remember how I got in the police car, other than what I was told. I was leaned back on my chair on test day and fell backwards, hitting the corner of the wall with my head. I think I got a half a dozen stitches. When I asked, "Why are you not driving, Daddy?" the response was, "Well, the police are giving us a ride." My dad was there when I needed him, like so many other times. Dad traveled much, but it always was a joy when he came home for the weekend. I remember many outings. Road trips to go tobogganing on Winnipeg Floodway. Dad purchased 2 plastic sleds that had brakes on both sides, that way we could steer and go down the hill. Great outdoor fun. We even made our own backyard curling rink, and the rocks were made from peanut butter cans with the bottoms concave. Pretty inventive. I remember Dad taking us out to see the ice breakups on the Selkirk River. The ice would start to break up, and foot-thick chunks of ice would pile up along the bank of the river, and occasionally large sheets of ice would go pushing across the roadway. On these outings, we would dine on hamburgers and french fries. What a treat. In the summer, we'd visit the lake to go for a swim, but I preferred the swimming pool at the YMCA because there's no horseflies and mosquitoes. Yes, I took swimming lessons at a very young age, which probably saved my life. Every summer, Dad would load up the car and take us for a visit. The grandparents in Alberta. At the time we were living in Winnipeg, Dad would coordinate with his mother's kin and would visit our cousins. Dad would play cards with his father-in-law, Grandpa, and occasionally Grandpa would take Dad out duck hunting or fishing. I was too young to engage in these activities. I'm sure Dad knew how to handle firearms from his Army days. But I remember Grandpa said that he was chasing the ducks away when he shot. I remember listening to my dad talking about how he avoided confrontational conversations with Granddad regarding politics. He would not comment on what Granddad was saying. Dad was smart not to express a different point of view while we were there. Do not ruffle grandfather's feathers. Dad used to tell us stories about him growing up on a farm and the friendly farm animals like St. Francis the pig that would follow him to school. There was a brown bear that my father was friends with called Sergeant. I don't think this was his, but I guess in those days it was okay to have a pet bear. Dad was always busy doing something. Taking the family on road trips, home renovating, competitions, performed community work at the Lions Club and at church. He was quite an accomplished woodworker. He built furnishings like computer desks, workbenches, cupboards, and my sister's hair salon cabinets. Cold mold windows around actress-style mirror with lights. He also built a camping box, which had custom compartments fitted for things like poles, cameras, pegs, and brushes. Yes, Dad liked camping and taught us kids how to camp. Dad also got my brother and I involved with Cub Scouts and later Sea Scouts. I learned from my father that hard work, perseverance certainly paid off. We had almost every star and badge possible, and Dad also allowed us to participate in Cub Scouts Jamboree in the state of North Dakota. Dad was a gifted man, and he even made a custom stereo cabinet to house my stereo amplifier and record player that I attached to the wall, which I used in boarding school. Yes, like Dad, I attended a English-style boarding school when public school was not keeping me in order. Both my parents working and Dad on the road much of the time, Dad felt it was better for me to have a more structured upbringing of private school away from my friends. After all, Bob, my father, at the age of 13, lost his father and ended up boarding at Red Deer Composite High. Dad turned out to be an officer and a gentleman with a purpose. While I was in private school in Vancouver Island, Dad would occasionally show up unexpected on a weekend for my rugby games. I did not expect that, especially when he lived in the Lower Mainland and the school was on Vancouver Island. We had classes 6 days a week. I missed my parents and my hometown, so after a year of boarding school, I convinced him to allow me to return to public school. After a year of public school, Dad felt I should return to boarding school as I was from around with the wrong friends. And today, I still regret that I did not listen to my dad and stay in private school. Private school offered a better education, better sports programs than public. Father knows best. At the time, I wanted to have a mechanic background like Dad, and private school did not offer trades training. So, what worked well for me getting expelled from grade 8 certainly worked well in grade 10. Yes, I was out when I was back in public school. I certainly broke his heart and broke his pocketbook because he had to pay for the entire year despite I was not attending boarding school. My sister pulled out of private school at Queen Margaret's, and where she had a horse that my parents bought, and my uncle not working. I learned much from Dad and certainly wanted to spend my time with him, but his job took him on the road throughout BC and Yukon. Dad spent many nights alone in the hotel, eating in restaurants, reading books, and returned with many stories and adventures. He certainly knew BC and the Yukon like the back of his hand. When visiting the Yukon in the summer, he would drive up in a new company vehicle